Welcome back to another episode. Today's episode, what we're going to talk about is Tyler Fitzgerald and whether or not he can end up making the roster on that last roster spot that appears to be kind of up for grabs at the moment. And also kind of his comparison and why he might be able to be kind of the Giants version of Chris Taylor, who's been, the longtime Dodgers utility player for, I believe, about the last 6 years he's been in LA. So, starting off a little bit with Tyler Fitzgerald, as I mentioned, it appears that there's about one roster spot that's kind of up for grabs. As we all know, there's a 26-man active roster, 13 players or 13 position players on that, usually 13 pitchers. Of the Giants um, roster outlook at the moment, it appears that about 12 spots are pretty secure at the moment. Obviously, things can change, but as of right now, it appears that you're going to have Patrick Bailey and Tom Murphy as your catchers. The infield is likely going to have J.D. Davis, Marco Luciano, Tyro Estrada, um, Wilmer Flores, and Lamont Wade Jr. And in the outfield, we'll put Soler in the outfield, though he's more of a DH, and then Conforto, Jung-Hoo Lee, Mike Yastrzemski, and Austin Slater. So that's 12 players right there that appear to be pretty set. With the big hole at the moment, the big obvious hole being a utility guy that can back up shortstop, second base, third base. Although third base, theoretically, like Wilmer Flores could go play over there for a game if needed. But really, a backup middle infielder is kind of the glaring hole right now. As I said, some changes could happen. They could sign Matt Chapman. That would mean JD Davis probably gets traded off somewhere. Luis Matos maybe makes Austin Slater expendable if Matos continues to have a really big spring and shows the needed strength. Giants might have to make a tough decision there and package an outfielder elsewhere to create everyday playing time for him. It's kind of what I'm hoping for, but it's not what this episode's about. Um, so on this one, it appears there's a utility spot up for grabs, and the Giants have kind of thrown a large quantity of players there. They just signed Nick Ahmed as kind of a veteran backup shortstop. They made the trade for Otto Lopez. Casey Schmidt's going to certainly be in the mix. And then Tyler Fitzgerald is that last guy. Now, where Tyler Fitzgerald has an advantage over all the other guys is he also can he plays center field, but he also can probably, I'm assuming if you can play center field, you can play left or right field pretty easily. You can learn those positions. So he's a natural shortstop, but he can play short, second, third, and the outfield. So he would bring, a lot of versatility, especially for later innings in for the Giants if they want to use him as a pinch runner where he has a lot of speed. Keep in mind he had the sixth fastest sprint speed home to first last season. So he's got very good speed. They could use him as a late inning pinch hitter. He's got some nice pop. We saw him hit 2 home runs last season, including one off of Clayton Kershaw in San Francisco. Um, he's hit over 20 home runs in each of the last 2 seasons in the minor leagues. So, he does have some nice pop there as well. And, the biggest weakness in his game has been the swing and miss, but this is where the Chris Taylor, comparison really comes in. I was overlooking Chris Taylor's career numbers, and Chris Taylor has a career 29% strikeout percentage. This is not a guy that, makes a ton of contact all the time. He does have pop. Chris Taylor has averaged between, 10 and his career high is 21 home runs, but between 10 to 21 home runs every year since 2017, with the exception being the COVID shortened 2020 season, in which he still hit 8 home runs. This is a guy that pretty consistently plays, between appears about 117 to 140 games. He had one outlier season in 2018 where he played 155 games. So, we're kind of looking at the, Ben Zobrist type where he's going to start a lot of games all over the diamond or get in a lot of games whether it's the late innings or whatever. Um, but he's not an everyday player at one position. And, the Giants need a guy that's going to be able to play all over. And really, this is a team severely lacking in things like speed, where he can help impact games in ways that there's just not a lot of guys on their 40-man roster that can. This is a guy that stole 20 bags in 2022, had a 2020 season there, and then had a 2020 season, actually a 2030 season last season, where between AA, AAA, and the major leagues, he stole 32 bags. So this is a guy that would be able to bring an added element to this roster that they really need. I mean, as we've kind of beaten to the ground recently, this team was dead last in stolen bases last season. This is it's 2024. The rules favor stealing bags and being more aggressive on the base paths. It's time for the Giants to join the modern game and at least get some respectable speed up and down the roster. So, it's a very interesting comparison. I kind of wonder if he can be their version going forward. He's only 26 years old. Um, I know they've had their questions on with him. He kind of got stuck down in AAA for much of last season whenever, a lot of other players that had been in similar positions were getting their opportunities. And it's not like the Giants had the answer at shortstop. Casey Schmidt was struggling mightily. Brandon Crawford was struggling and hurt. They were bringing up guys like Johan Camargo and, Isan Diaz. They were bypassing Fitzgerald for a lot of very questionable players. So I'm not sure how highly uh, Farhan Zaidi and them view him, but I think he would be a very, solid fit for what this roster currently needs, as far as areas it lacks. So those are my thoughts. I want to hear what everybody else has to say. As always, like, subscribe to the channel. We're going to keep going through kind of different ideas and different players that, what they're doing in spring training. Keep an eye on it. For what it's worth, Fitzgerald, as of right now, has had 11 plate appearances. He's 2 for 9. He actually had a grand slam a few days ago, a couple walks, but as it's been his history, he's got some swing and miss, and he has 4 strikeouts in 11 plate appearances. But very small sample size. I'm not one to overreact to that. But we're gonna just keep an eye on spring training, see what see what's happening, see what the developments. Bob Melvin made some comments the other day. I think it was yesterday or this morning, about there's still some pitchers out there because they just found an aneurysm in Tristan Beck's arm. He is likely going to miss a lot of time. So, as our video alluded to yesterday with Blake Snell, um, that might be something where they really need to look long and hard at trying to bring him in on a short-term deal of some sort, or possibly Jordan Montgomery, and giving these guys kind of the Carlos Rodon deal, or similar to what Cody Bellinger signed, as we brought up yesterday. So otherwise, we're looking at probably Mason Black, or maybe Carson Wisenhunt. There's a few other guys. Sean Jelly's been being brought up. I don't know how anyone can watch. I sent this tweet out a little bit ago. I don't know how anybody can watch Sean Jelly pitch the last couple of years and think he belongs anywhere near a major league mound. But then again, he's never given up a run against the Bob Melvin Padres. So maybe Bob Melvin just hasn't seen the rest of it. Who knows? But otherwise, we're going to have another video coming out tomorrow, I'm sure. We're going to go catch the game today against Arizona. Marco Luciano's making his Cactus League debut today. Jung-Hoo Lee's in the lineup. Elliot Ramos is in the lineup. Logan Webb is pitching. So, got some exciting players that we can keep an eye on for today. But other than that, until next time, bye.